My first girlfriend, huge deal. Because I didn't even know how gay I was till I met this girl, you know? I don't know. Because women, we teeter. We do. We play games. You kiss a girl in the club to make your boyfriend's dick hard. You do silly You're not always just laying over there, you know what I mean? So I didn't know. I was like, maybe I'm just grab titties in the club gay and not go down on a chick gay. Very different gays. Very different gays on the spectrum. But I met this girl. I was like, nah, man, I'm going down on this chick. I'm ready. Huge deal, man. I was scared. I had to get myself charged up to do it. John Madden in the huddle, like, I'm going to eat this. Go, go, go. Got it. I was looking in the mirror like, you are a champion. Don't worry. And then I got her home, and she laid down on the bed, and I realized I had never seen a vagina from this perspective. Like, I've seen mine from this perspective. I ain't never seen it like that. I was not ready at all. I was like, oh, what the hell is that? Started poking at it like, Close your legs, let's go to church. We need to pray. You know, go ahead and pray this gay away, girl. We all living foul.
I was given a gay blowjob recently. Look, thank you. And also to you, they're not all gay, you know? This guy knows what I'm talking about. They're not all gay, but the way I do it is pinky out, you know what I'm talking about? I bat my eyelashes like a cartoon character, whatever it takes. But I've been down there for a while. I was down there for about 30 minutes. Yeah, goddamn. That's an entire episode of Seinfeld. And I know because we watched an entire episode of Seinfeld. I'm a guy's guy, you know? I'm a guy's guy. I'm not afraid. I do it for the fellas, you know? I was down there for about 30 minutes, and finally I was like, hey, are you close? And he said, I'm on Lexapro. I forgot to tell you I might not come. I said, when were you gonna tell me? I'm about 45 seconds from developing lockjaw. And you're on the coward's drug Lexapro? Life is hard. Grow up. No. Being medicated is good. Seriously, stay on your meds. You stay on your meds. I was furious. I was like, you can't, I'm sucking dick for the love of the game. What's going on? I'm an American citizen. I have rights. You know, like.
I am trying online dating, which I feel like online dating, first of all, I'm trying Tinder, which, oh God. I mean, just like the swiping. I cannot be on Tinder because on Tinder, like, 5 minutes into Tinder, I turn into this like Victorian queen. I'm just like, no. Fine. You know, we just like ignore each other. But I feel like it's better than Grindr, which Grindr's a gay dating app. If you don't know what Grindr is, it's basically a step above tapping underneath a bathroom stall.
I am dating women now. Okay. Is it a woo? Bitch, I'm in my 30s. It just seems prudent. You know, but here we are. I'm dating women. And the first time I hooked up with a woman, I had these nails. And it was just a real long-time listener, first-time caller energy. You know, but where there is a will, there is a way. I got just real Edward Scissorhands up in it. Didn't do a full cut, just a grace. And I made her come. So men, what is your excuse?
I am gay, and thank you. Was anybody on OkCupid like back in the day? Same. I had a weird, like when I first moved to New York City, I was on OkCupid like quite a bit, and I had like a lot of anxiety about like online dating, and I had a weird OkCupid strategy, which is that I would create a profile and then just like immediately kind of like be in my head about that, and then I would not like log in for like 4 months. And then eventually when I would try to log back in, I would forget my password. And I also forgot the password to the burner email account that I used to create the profile. So I would just end up making it an entirely different profile. And there was a point in my life where I did have 5 active profiles on OkCupid, and each one was much more vulnerable than the last one. Like when you make a profile, you're supposed to answer like fun, flirty questions about yourself. One of them is like, what's a typical Friday night for you? And the first profile I made for that question, I answered dancing. You know, I'm fun, whatever. By the time I got to the 5th profile for that same question, I answered, honestly, thinking about my family's history of mental illness and alcoholism, ... like dancing though. I ended up just getting an 87% match with one of my other profiles. So I'm dating myself, which is chill. I did like graduate to Grindr. I'm on Grindr now. Thank you. It's like, am I gonna die from a Grindr hookup? TBD, you know? Grindr is dark, but like something I like about Grindr are the profile names. Because like I feel like I've encountered like Grindr profile names that like have like 2 parts to them. Like the first part of the name is like something very personal about the guy, and then the second part is something exclusively about his dick. Like actual Grindr profile names I've seen are like recently sober, uncut. I've also seen like NYC transplant, 7 inches. My Grindr profile name is Native American, sponsored by Casper Mattress. I'm no longer like terrified of dying during a Grindr hookup though, like, cause that's kind of like he died doing what he loved.
To me, queerness is the I'm hungry but I don't know for what of sexualities. My sexuality is just a salad from McDonald's. It's confusing to some, appealing to others. Either way, I'm loving it. You know what? Maybe I'm bi. Maybe I'm bi because I am attracted to very feminine men, but I'm also attracted to very masculine men. I recently told a guy at coffee that information. I said I identify as bi or queer because that's more honest and reflective of my sexual and romantic journey. But if you were to call me gay, wouldn't get mad. Gay is not a bad word. In fact, sometimes gay is just easier shorthand for straight people to wrap their brains around when they don't want to have to use the terms we come out with every 3 months to categorize, quantify, and qualify sexuality. And he said that is a lot to write on 1 cup. And I said, you right, my bad, homie. My name is Jay, and you guys, he still got my name wrong. He just wrote gay on the cup. Put that there. I hear from those varying pitches that there are some straight people out there. That's nice. Listen, I like straight people. I do a lot of straight outreach, usually at urinals. Just handing out pamphlets, don't get crazy. Okay, here's a little bit of honesty. I used to be straight, then I got better. Yeah, there's a vaccine for it. Did you know? That's right, vaccines don't cause autism. Vaccines make your kids gay. And by that, I mean they let your child live long enough to figure it out. Thank you, because last week I did that joke for what I can only describe as a very pro-polio crowd, so... Between you and me, I'm just happy that joke still has legs. No, you guys, I'm serious. I did used to be straight. I used to date girls because we've all made mistakes. And I like to think of the female body the same way I think of the South, in the sense that I'm from there and I visited. But I don't know if that's where I want to raise my kids. Also, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Does that Come on, you guys, that is a perfectly pH balanced joke. That joke is a 7. I could go back, ladies. I could go back. That is a threat. Yeah, it could definitely happen. I could go back to dating girls, but me going back to girls, that's like LeBron James going to the Lakers, in the sense that it would cost a lot of money. I'd probably have to bring some of my boys with me, and at the end of the day, you ain't getting no ring.
It's true, I am bisexual, but I'm very bad at it. My problem is I have to stop assuming that girls are gay. It's gotten me into too many sticky predicaments, and I can't afford to break another lease. So from here on out, going forward, I got a new strategy. I'm gonna play it safe and just pretend that every hot girl I meet is straight until she explicitly tells me otherwise. She's got a snapback on, doesn't mean anything. She's got a rainbow flag pin on her cargo jacket, I'm not reading into it. She's kissing my neck, she's probably just being polite. Her family is Scandinavian. It's probably just a cultural thing. I'm not gonna be rude and just assume a girl is queer just because she's fingering me. There's a number of explanations available. Maybe she lost her keys, I don't know. I know her star sign, not her story.
I'm gay, sexually, I'm pretty cool otherwise. Okay. I'm dating a conservative gay guy, and all my liberal friends are really mad at me. They're like, oh no, Dylan, you shouldn't. Then you fuck me, if that's what you want. Otherwise, I'm going with Honky Montana. Okay? Because he fucks me, and culturally, too. He gets it. You know? These socialists aren't paying for pizza. They're not, you know? But it's weird. Like, dating a gay conservative is like bringing a deaf person to a concert. It's just like, are you having fun? I just feel like we're having different experiences right now. But I'm glad that you're here. Just confused as to why. And we'll get into arguments sometimes because like I'm more liberal and he's more conservative. I'm like, hey, you really can't say this stuff online. It like hurts people's feelings, like legitimately. But then I'll hear a bump in the night. And I'll be like, oh my God, I hope he has a gun. I hope he has a gun. It could be immigrants. We don't know the situation. We don't know what the Swedish are doing.
Speaking of collecting STDs, I'm dating. Dating's hard. Dating gay dudes is hard. Am I right, ladies? No, I feel like I reached like peak millennial dating moment. I was on a date a few nights ago. The guy disclosed in the middle of it. He asked me out because his birth chart told him to. Ooh. I was like, what does the chart say about eating my ass? What house is my booty in, Starboy? No, I did come across my favorite Tinder profile ever. How do we feel about the wallet phone case? Fun fact, when you turn 30, they just send you one. Okay, so first of all, his name is Yale, which I think we can all agree is the key word in an article about sexual assault. Like the Yale rapist, or Yale the rapist. Both work. But here's his profile. In this age of hipster twerps and soy boys present, it's time we revisit the glory days. And then it's just bullet points about him. Owns a construction company. Physically confident. Can scale a mountain. Is everyone else sopping wet? And this next one, you guys. If I have to kill, I do it neatly. I've just been asking audiences, what does that mean? Like, are there any damaged men in the room who would like this? Or is it just like 50-50, you're gonna die on this date? After that, it's healthy and active with a modicum of decorum. And at the very bottom, it just says, in Southern California with a kid for a Make-A-Wish type thing. Is this what we're killing neatly? So I swiped right. Hopefully I'll match with old Yale. Because unfortunately, Yale is my type. I'm painfully attracted to toxic masculinity. Do we know what that is? Yes. For those of you who don't, toxic masculinity is when a man becomes so masculine, he becomes poisonous to himself and those around him. And it makes me come so hard. Because, okay, like, you guys know me now. I'm catastrophically gay. Which is super cute in like LA and New York, not so cute in other parts of the world. And, or look at it this way, I'm not built for battle. Like, I'm just as frail as I look. Like, these wrists are good for 3 things: holding a microphone, mixing pancake batter, and jerking off dudes who don't read good.